One of the great ways to support the show, because we've been demonetized by YouTube for over 2 years, is to go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood. You can see the link below and submit articles. This was submitted by Tim Stack. Tim's been a longtime supporter of the show. So this is a really cool, Tim has submitted some really interesting stuff to us. And what it's going to show is how all of these like super right-wing billionaires are like way into Lord of the Rings. So this is the article that Tim Stack submitted to us. Right-wing rings of power. So this is Capital in Maine, which is a really cool, interesting website. I would go to capitalinmaine.com. They have interesting articles. Lord of the Rings fans, from Trump-supporting libertarian billionaire Peter Thiel to Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who's a very right-wing fascist, find arco-conservative lessons in Middle-earth. Why? Interesting. Some influential hard-right figures in our world see the lives of those endearing halflings free from government intervention and overreach as close to societal perfection. Well, there it is right there. No government overreach. I want to be able to be rich and plunder the earth of its resources to exploit people's labor and be rich and fly around in flying yachts and screw people over and never be held accountable. Billionaire tech mogul and Trump's early Silicon Valley ally, Peter Thiel, spent his teenage years reading and rereading The Lord of the Rings. The trilogy now lives on in his business empire decades later. Thiel was so shaped by the vision of Hobbit life that the Palo Alto offices in his multi-billion-dollar firm, Planter Technologies, are informally known as the Shire. This is what happens when you get too much money. You do crazy, weird stuff and nobody goes, hey, that's nuts. You know what I mean? If you're making 40 grand a year, if you're making 40, 50 grand a year and you go, I want to change the office and call it the Shire, people are going to go, sit down. If you're making billions of dollars and giving everyone a job, everyone's going to be like, this guy, I work for this billionaire who's out of his mind, but I don't want to tell him no. That's literally what it is. You make so much money that people are afraid to tell you no, and that's not a good thing. I've seen it in comedy. I've seen people become so rich and famous that their comedy goes down because no one is around them telling them no. And when people disagree with them, they fire them or scream at them and nobody wants to work with them anymore. And then they just end up, yelling and screaming in the garage without any real friends anymore. Just a bunch of sycophants. I'm not talking about anybody specifically. I'm just talking about in general. So let's go back into the article. In Tolkien's writings, the Shire is a countryside region inhabited by hobbits. Thiel's version, however, lacks the grassy hills